Hello everyone. In this lesson, we will simply have an introduction to data frames. So by the end of the lesson, you will simply understand what a data frame is and observe some built-in data sets in R. So a data frame is a data structure that organizes data into two-dimensional table of rows and columns. So this is how a two-dimensional table of rows and columns look like. This is a data frame. So we have the observations called the rows, and we have the variables called the columns of the data frame. So let's go to R and see some of the example data sets or data frames in it. Now, in R, there are some built-in data sets. Like, for example, we do have the empty cast data set. And if we should just type empty cast and run this code, we will end up getting the entire data set printed to the console. So if you wanted information about this data set, then you need the documentation in R. And just like we did with functions before, just type the question mark followed by the name of the data set. And if you execute, you end up getting the documentation on this data set. So this empty cars built-in data set is the motor trend car road test. And that is a description. And again, it gives you the meaning of these variables, the variable labels. So when you see MPG, that simply represents miles per US gallon and the rest. So this is an example of a built-in data set. We also have another one. For example, we have the air passengers data set. And let's clear the console and print this one. This is actually a time series data set. And so, for example, if you go ahead and pass this one simply to the plot function, later on we'll be learning graphics and visualization with R, but just pass this data set into the plot function, you would find out that this happens to be the time series plot of this time series data frame or data set. So these are some of the example data sets that we have in R. Now, one thing for sure is if you want to check the documentation for these air passengers, you can also type the question mark followed by the name of the data set, and you will find the title and a description of this data set with some examples right here. There will come a time where you become very familiar with the R programming code. And so many of these things will become very easy for you to read. For now, if you're a beginner, then seeing this should not scare you because one day you will have a mastery of the language. There is one thing that I want you to observe at the very top of the documentation. You would find the name of the data set. Then to the immediate right, we do have a set of curly brackets and within it, data set. This is what we call a package in R. And when we mention a package in R, it is a collection of objects. Okay, so it is something that holds many other things. So for example, this data set is the name of the package, which contains data sets such as air passengers, such as empty cars. So let's go back to the documentation. We find that empty cars is also found in this data set package. We also have a lesson that is coming up on how to install packages and all of these other stuff. So by clicking on this tab, you will find some of the packages. There are actually many of them, but there are more out there which you can install and be using them in R. So we'll be learning about how to install them, remove them, and all of that. So basically, for this documentation, we have the datasets package. So let me just go ahead of time and show you how to access all of the data frames that are contained in the dataset package. So all you need to do is just type the name of the package, so datasets, then follow it with 2 colons. And then you would have an IntelliSense of all of the data sets or data frames that you can find in R. These are all built in, so you can just simply call any one of them. Like for example, we had the empty cars. So if I should go to the M section, we can find the empty cars here. Click to autocomplete and you can execute and you'll still be able to find the entire data set. Now it is flowing down here because the window is too small. So if I enlarge the window and then run this code once more, then everything can fit within the window. So if I should execute, you realize that all of them have now fit into the window, right? So when you are typing the name of the package, DAT, the first three characters, you will now find all of the functions and objects that match the first three characters of the name you are looking for. So this is what we're actually looking for, data sets, colon, colon. If you also see data.table, that is also another package, colon, colon. Data wizard is also another package, but we are mainly concentrating on data sets for now. So data sets, colon, colon. And then once you autocomplete that, you'll be able to look at all of the data sets, built-in data sets that are found within R. So these are all examples of data frames that we have in R, which you can readily access and work with it for your programming journey in statistics and all of that.